Yeah, well, it's objective number one is the same as last week, really, to win the game. Build on last week's performance, where we were pleased, obviously, with lots of aspects, but it's an opportunity for those guys who perhaps didn't get the as much game time as we'd liked last week, but mainly for those guys who've been working hard, both in Penny Hill and at Denver, to get a first game under the belts. So, with the likes of Chris Robshaw, Billy Vunipola, the list goes on of the guys who performed really well for us in the Six Nations. It's a lot of that team, so it'll be fascinating to see how they go. Well, we're getting there. We had a pretty competitive training session now, actually, about half an hour ago. So that helps, obviously. We've still got the Ireland game to go, but in terms of naming the 31, clearly this game we'll use this game, and we'll use next week's training as well before we finalise towards the end of next week. So, we're getting there, but it's a big game this week in its own right, and we need to make sure that we concentrate on that performance first and foremost, rather than worrying about selection decisions. No, not really. I mean, it was a very difficult selection decision this week. I found it hard in a lot of ways because I wanted to, in my mind, right the way throughout, give everyone an opportunity. So whether it's someone like Nick Easter, as an example, who's on the bench, who through no fault of his own got an injury and then missed out. There's an argument we could have said, well, let's give Ben another 40 minutes, but we feel Nick deserves an opportunity. The guys from the bench deserved an opportunity, who didn't really get much game time. But it was difficult balancing that with when you've got 39 players, you only can pick 23. But as I said, when we'll name the 31-man squad, clearly what's happened in these two games will have a bearing. But what's happened over the course of the last 8 weeks will have as big a bearing as well. Well, I mean, we had a training session this afternoon which had Farrell, Slade and Burgess playing against Ford, Burrell and Joseph. And it wasn't far off a full game, it felt like. We obviously took elements of the tackle out and everything else, but in everything else. And that's pretty much the way we've done it right the way throughout. So we do pick up a lot from those things. And equally, there are people like Billy Twelvetrees who's played a lot of time for England, who didn't really get much of an opportunity last week. Didn't start. Danny Cipriani, who's been excellent in training, didn't start last week. Didn't get much opportunity, again through no fault of his own, who we felt we wanted to give a second chance to. He's desperate to get a game, obviously. He was a big part of our Six Nations. He played every game. We scored 18 tries in the Six Nations, so him and JJ obviously formed a very effective centre partnership. And between the three of them, I know they're itching to get out there and prove a point. Obviously, when you're a player sat in the sideline and you're watching two guys go well in the centre, you know you've got to step up. And from Luther's point of view, this is a good test for him now, because he knows he's going to be up against two quality centres. I don't know the French side, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was Bastro and Fofana. So it will be a big test for him to see if he can deal with the pressure, because if we're going to go and be successful in World Cups, then people like him need to deliver on the big stages, and this is a great opportunity for him. Watching 40 minutes, but also seeing what he's done over the course of the last 12 months as well, which has a big bearing on it, because he's always been excellent for England. But yeah, that's going to be a difficult decision, because Nick's obviously played well for his club, gone well in training, but he's been in a similar position, if I'm being honest, because him and Ben came back to training at the same time in this camp. So it's 6 of one, half to the other, really, on that one. No. There's no concerns about that in the slightest. He's another one who's desperate to get the opportunity. He watched how well Alex Goode played last weekend, and he knows that it's a competitive position. So, he's been very at his competitive best in training. He's fit, he's quick, and positionally, his back three work with Johnny and Jack will be important in this game, because I know that France I'm sure will challenge him, but I'm sure he's ready for the challenge, and he's one of our true competitors in the team, and he's definitely 100% right physically, that's for sure.
Over to the days next door.
Thank you.